Tonight, as the IDF targets terrorist leaders in Hamas and Hezbollah, concern of a greater regional war.
If cooler heads prevail, then I don't think that Israel and Hezbollah will be going to a major war.
Plus,
she was a bum, a failed vice president.
I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
The gloves come off between the campaigns of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And produce and pesticides.
You want to take your time. Some people just run it through really quick.
How to enjoy summertime vegetables safely. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
Iran is vowing revenge tonight after Hamas's political leader is killed in Tehran. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Tara Mergener.
And from the studio of CBN's Washington News Bureau, I'm John Jessup. Well, a second Israeli enemy eliminated in less than 24 hours. News broke early Wednesday morning about the death of a top Hamas leader in Iran. While Israel has not claimed responsibility, it is being blamed for the attack.
And it came just hours after the IDF struck a Beirut suburb, killing a Hezbollah commander. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke joins us now. Caitlin, what are U.S. officials saying about these major escalations in the Middle East?
John, Tara, speaking from Singapore, Secretary of State Antony Blinken told Channel News Asia the U.S. was not aware of or involved in the death that Hamas is calling an assassination. The White House says it's watching the situation closely and will continue working hard to keep the war from escalating.
Our job since the beginning of this conflict, in addition to making sure Israel has what it needs to defend itself, in addition to making sure the people of Gaza aren't suffering more than they already are, is to manage risk in the region.
Ismail Haniyeh led Hamas's political arm and was less involved with military affairs. Still, Israel made him a target after the October 7th attack, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declaring all leaders of Hamas dead men walking. According to reports, an airstrike killed Haniyeh during his visit to Tehran for the inauguration of the country's new president.
We've seen what Iran is capable of in April. We've now seen again that Israel can target anywhere in Iran.
Iran's supreme leader threatening it is our duty to take revenge and severely punish the Zionist entity for the assassination in Iran, because the assassination was carried out on our soil. This marks the second major blow against Israel's Iranian-backed enemies in a 12-hour span. Earlier, the IDF confirming it eliminated Fuad Shukr, one of Hezbollah's top leaders, outside of Beirut, Lebanon.
One former general Israeli was telling reporters today that regardless of what Iran does, it's important that America backs Israel right now, which might make Iran more cautious in its response.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin today confirming the U.S. position.
If Israel is attacked, we certainly will help defend Israel. You saw us do that in April. You can expect to see us do that again.
Jonathan Conricus from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies tells CBN News he hopes Israel's strategy will now be firmly focused on Iran rather than its proxies.
Everything that we see happening since October 7 and many years before that, but greatly so after October the 7th, all of that is related to Iran.
On Capitol Hill today, Senator Lindsey Graham blamed Iran directly for the Golan Heights attack and announced a new proposed resolution saying Iran should be held responsible for any escalating attack by Hezbollah. John, Tara?
All right, Caitlin, thank you. For more, let's turn to Michael O'Hanlon. He is the Senior Fellow and Director of Research and Foreign Policy with the Brookings Institution. Michael, Iran's new president said this is something Israel will come to regret, suffering a bit of a bruised ego since the killing happened on Iranian soil. So what is Iran thinking as it weighs its response?
It's an excellent question, and only time will tell. I think that part of what the Iranians are saying now is out of emotion. And as you say, the fact that this happened on their territory, although Israel has killed people on Iranian territory before, most notably a nuclear weapons scientist in the last 5 years or so, an Iranian nuclear weapons scientist. And so it's not entirely without precedent. And even though Haniya was a negotiator for Hamas in an attempt at a ceasefire, he's also has long-standing ties to the group in more lethal and violent ways. And so I don't really know just how far Iran's going to go, but they're going to do something. And, you know, they could tell Hezbollah to escalate rocket attacks into Israel. They could try to assassinate an Israeli leader of some type and do that maybe on foreign soil somewhere else in the world. There are all sorts of things. Obviously, it's the all-out conflict scenario that is the most worrying, since most sides seem to have calculated up until now that it's not really desirable for their own interests to have an all-out war between Israel and, let's say, Hezbollah, or Israel and Iran. But those calculations could change, and people could also use force in a way that produces an unexpected and escalatory response. So, again, you asked me a very good question, and I can't give a great answer. Iran's going to have to decide now, are they content to do something that's more or less symbolic and ratchets this thing down, even in the context of an ongoing crisis and conflict in the region, of course, or are they going to feel a sense of wounded pride that requires them to do something previously not attempted, which then has escalatory dangers and dynamics? I don't know the answer.
Iran's supreme leader is supposed to oversee a service for Haniya this Thursday. Michael, you hinted at this earlier. Haniya was the face at the negotiating table for Hamas. So what happens to these ceasefire talks now?
You would have to assume some delay. Hamas is a strong enough and well-established enough organization that they can, I am sure, figure out a way to replace the role of Haniya, maybe not with the stature or the history of that leader, but they are an institution, and that's part of the difficulty of eliminating them. Even if you kill off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 leaders, as Israel has done over the years, Hamas regenerates leadership. But I would think, if for no other reason than just to send a message, that Hamas won't show up at the negotiating table for some weeks, maybe less, I hope less, but it won't be right away.
Michael, less than 60 seconds left. Does the assassination change anything within the leadership or the direction of Hamas?
Well, it definitely takes out one of their longest-standing leaders, you know, and obviously the leadership has a hard time communicating when much of it is on the run and some of it is dead over the last 10 months. So, yeah, in that sense, it will change things. But as I say, Hamas also is an organization that has hierarchy, that has loyalty, that has a long-standing tradition, and so they will find people to populate these jobs even as the previous leadership is gone. And I don't have any reason to think that the next leaders will be more docile or peace-oriented than the previous ones. We're in a cycle of violence that will probably continue.
Michael O'Hanlon with the Brookings Institution, thank you so much for your time and your insights tonight.
Thank you kindly.
Well, here at home, defense experts say the United States faces the most serious national security threats since World War II. Even more concerning, as CBN's Dale Hurd reports, the next potential attack could take America's leaders by surprise.
The heads of the Commission on the National Defense Strategy told the Senate Armed Services Committee that the United States is nowhere near prepared for the dangerous multi-threat environment it's facing.
The public has no idea how great the threats are.
Commission Chairman Representative Jane Harman and Vice Chair Ambassador Eric Edelman issued a dire warning to the committee Tuesday.
The homeland, if there's a conflict, is not going to be a sanctuary anymore, and the first attacks will likely be in the cyber domain, and they will be incredibly disabling.
The public is essentially clueless about the massive cyber attacks that could be launched any day by our adversaries, not just nation states, but rogue actors as well.
The report warns a cyber war with China or Russia would be devastating. America's critical infrastructure would come under attack, possibly cutting off power, water, transportation, and financial systems, and shutting down the supply chain. The report states major war would affect the life of every American in ways we can only begin to imagine. The report echoes a warning FBI Director Christopher Wray gave Congress.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike.
One of the things we might anticipate, for example, is if China decides to annex Taiwan, or whatever euphemism they might use, they might engage in a major cyber attack here first, for which we are underprepared.
The commission found the U.S. defense sector lacking in almost every area, including integrated weapons technology platforms and software. With recruitment levels for all branches lagging, America needs a larger fighting force, and the hearing discussed lowering physical standards for recruits and even instituting a draft.
We found that the joint force is at the breaking point of maintaining readiness today. Adding more burden without adding resources to rebuild readiness will cause it to break.
And with so many cyber threats, the commission also said the Pentagon must find a way to somehow lure the best and brightest computer minds away from Silicon Valley and into national service. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
All right, the race to election 2024 is heating up as Donald Trump and Kamala Harris continue hitting the campaign trail for a big week ahead, John.
That's right, both attempting to energize voters with less than, get this, 100 days to the election. CBN Washington correspondent Michelle London joins us now with where the race stands. Michelle.
John and Tara, it's also a busy week for those supporting the top of the ticket. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance is in Arizona, while second gentleman Doug Emhoff campaigned on Harris's behalf, speaking in New Hampshire and Maine. Former President Donald Trump addressing journalists Wednesday in Chicago. The appearance before a National Association of Black Journalists conference met with sharp criticism from some members, concerned their convention could be seen as giving an endorsement.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
An invite was also extended to Vice President Kamala Harris, who agreed to virtually address members after their conference.
I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
During a rally in Atlanta Tuesday night, she challenged Trump to a debate.
Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage, because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face.
Poll numbers for the 2024 presidential race show a stark contrast from just a week ago. A Morning Consult poll out Wednesday shows Harris and Trump now neck and neck in several key battleground states, and a dead heat in Georgia, where both contenders rank at 47%. And a look ahead, 1 week from now, Harris is set to make her campaign stop in Philadelphia, where she'll be joined by her potential Democratic VP running mate. Tara, John.
All right, Michelle, thank you. Well, turning now to the economy, the Federal Reserve is on track to cut interest rates later this year, thanks to cooling inflation. The central bank says more needs to be done to lower prices, but adding that the economy is moving in the right direction.
Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7% to 2.5%. We are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% goal in support of a strong economy that benefits everyone.
Investors are expecting an interest rate cut to happen at the next Federal Reserve meeting in September. Well, up next, protecting kids online, the new measure that's holding tech giants accountable when we come back. Welcome back. In a rare show of bipartisan support, the Senate on Tuesday passed new legislation designed to protect kids online.
The upper chamber passed 2 bills to hold tech companies accountable and to force them to combat bullying, suicide, violence, and other dangerous content on their platforms.
Today, the Senate keeps its promise to every parent who's lost a child because of the risks of social media.
The legislation is now headed to the House. Speaker Mike Johnson said he's reviewing the legislation and has not yet scheduled a vote. Well, here now with more insight into the study is Melissa Henson of the Parents Television Council and Television and Media Council, rather. Melissa, welcome back to Faith Nation. So, the Kids Online Safety Act is being described as the most significant bill of its kind in decades. Melissa, can you talk about what's in it that gives it its teeth?
Yeah, well, there are four key provisions. The first is it establishes a duty to care, which means that the platforms have to exercise reasonable care to mitigate or prevent any harm. So, we've heard in past Senate hearings, for example, that Meta's own internal data show that they made body image worse for teenage girls. So if they know about these potential harms, then it's up to them. This duty of care means that they have to do whatever they can to mitigate those harms. The second important provision is that they need to disable addictive features like the algorithms that feed you a constant stream of content so that kids are not spending hours on end on these platforms. The third important provision is that they have to give parents tools to manage their child's online experiences. So it empowers parents. And the final provision that I think is really critical is that it establishes the strongest privacy settings for children by default. So you don't have to go exploring deep into the parental controls in order to protect your child. That's the default. And those who want to loosen the controls are free to do so.
You know, these measures were certainly drafted after a series of emotional and powerful hearings on the harms of social media on young people. Can you put that into perspective for us? How bad is it?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly heard heart-wrenching testimony. A teenage boy, for example, sent naked photos to what he thought was a young woman. Turned out to be a scammer in Nigeria who started blackmailing him and demanding more and more money. He sent money and they kept demanding more and more. And finally, he saw no way out and committed suicide. We've heard stories about kids who were going through a depressed episode and all of a sudden they were getting fed content that was encouraging them to take their own lives. We've heard stories about girls who developed eating disorders after seeing these Thinspiration Instagram profiles encouraging girls to, measure their thigh gaps, for example. I mean, the messages that kids are getting from social media are so damaging. And there's really, up to now, there's been no way to protect children from these really toxic, harmful messages.
So it's great this bipartisan effort passed, but in your opinion, at the end of the day, what still needs to be done to protect children online in the minute or so that we have left?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important for parents to reconsider and delay as long as possible giving your kids smartphones and internet-connected devices, tablets, and so forth. Keep those devices in a public place. Make sure you have your child's password so that you can check up and see what they're doing online. That's really the most critical part, is get the parents involved.
All right, Melissa Henson, thank you so much for your time and for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, most Americans don't get enough. Why doctors say summertime produce can do wonders for your health.
Well, welcome back. New concerns tonight about a popular brand of lunch meat and a deadly outbreak of Listeria food poisoning. Boar's Head is recalling an additional 7 million pounds of deli meat as federal authorities investigate reports of illness. The outbreak has killed at least 2 people and infected nearly 36 people across 13 states. Listeria typically causes fever, muscle aches, and fatigue. Infections are very dangerous for people over 65. Pregnant women, and those with poor immune systems.
All right, well, from lunch meat to vegetables, right? That's about the one thing most of us don't get enough of, right?
Yeah, I certainly don't. Don't tell my mom.
I won't tell your mom.
Well, the CDC, I don't mean to interrupt.
I do pretty well.
Okay. Well, the CDC reports only about 12% of adults get the recommended amount. As CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson reports, it's the perfect time of the year to boost your intake.
Why not?
Summer can be a great opportunity to take advantage of fresh fruits and vegetables.
And we need them for vitality, for immunity, for antioxidants to live better every single day.
Nutritionist Jim White recommends washing them right before eating, while some like to use baking soda, vinegar, or even a produce spray. White says simple tap water is all you need.
The big important thing is about 20 seconds. You want to take your time. Some people just run it through really quick, and it just doesn't get enough of the pesticides and the residue off in the dirt.
A produce brush can also help remove any dirt on thicker surfaces. You should still wash a rind you don't plan to eat because bacteria can get transferred to the edible portion, possibly causing illness. Symptoms can include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Health experts say in a perfect world, all of the fruits and vegetables we consume would be chemical-free. Unfortunately, that's not practical for most of us, so it can be helpful to know which conventionally grown produce contain the highest levels of pesticides and which have the least. Avocados, sweet corn, and pineapple top the so-called Clean 15 list of foods containing the fewest pesticides. On the other end of the spectrum, strawberries, spinach, and kale top the so-called Dirty Dozen list.
But it doesn't mean food avoidance. I see a lot of times where people get scared to eat fruits and vegetables, then they don't eat it at all.
If organic doesn't fit your budget, White says you can still eat the regular stuff.
But there's a recent study showing that the USDA and FDA does such a great job at working to make sure conventional fruits and vegetables are minimally processed that the difference is negligible.
White adds in many cases, frozen may cost even less.
They freeze them right away and they get set in, so it preserves a lot of nutrients.
Canned is usually the cheapest, which is better than no fruits or vegetables at all.
The one thing we got to watch is the high amount of sodiums and sugar, so I'd recommend to wash some of those in water just to get some of that added sugar and salt off.
So while the way you eat fruits and vegetables can make a difference, the important thing is that you keep them on the menu because most of us need more. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Coming up, a student-teacher duo blazing trails in track. That's next on Faith Nation. Well, finally tonight, while athletes are dazzling crowds at the Paris Summer Games, they're not the only ones who are leaving others inspired.
Nope. A student and a teacher are racing to the finish line in Ohio side by side. Etienne Massacote is a trumpet teacher to 12-year-old Lakewood student Aiden Ardelian. They are both visually impaired and love running. So the duo started running track at Lakewood High School in tandem. Last weekend, they ran the Guardian Mile in Cleveland with their sights set on a marathon in the future.
And I wish them the best. Wow, pretty impressive.
Fingers crossed.
All right, thanks for watching.
See ya.